Welcome back to the gun dungeon, guys. Out here with one of my favorite firearms. If you watch the channel very much, you know I have a fondness for SKSs. Don't have a clue why. It's just one of those things. I'm sure everybody's got their little pet rifles, I guess you could say, that you just like for no specific reason whatsoever. Shot this one quite a bit on the channel. You've seen I put an aftermarket front sight post in it. Helps a lot. Really like it. Just banging the gong here a little bit. Got you all with me. Got on there pretty good there at the end. Sometimes I forget the holds. I shoot so many different guns that I forget where everything's hold is. Everything's a little bit different, a little bit off. But since this is kind of one of those prepper type rifles, at least in the 90s, it was really big prepper type rifle because it was so cheap, so plentiful. Ammo was cheap, plentiful. Really makes me think of like prepper stuff. Just like I said, just straight prepper rifle. That's what you think of from the 90s anyways. Man, I'm sucking awful right there. So, kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. I know it's not something we typically do here on the channel, is talking about prepping, end of the world type stuff as you know it. But I feel like there's a lot of people in the gun community that enjoy that type of stuff as well and see it as a necessity. And I kind of do to a degree. I definitely have provisions in place for food, water, definitely a lot of home protection, self-preservation type stuff. But you know, there's a lot to it that can also roll over into everyday life type stuff. Like here around the house, if you watch any of my wife's channel, 5 Acre Homesteader, you'll see we actually raise meat rabbits. And not only is that something that is good for a prepper stance because they do reproduce so fast, produce so much protein, so little overhead, so little goes into actually raising them. But I mean, end of the world, they'd be great, but also I like eating the daggone things. We raise enough to where she sells them, makes some money on the side selling them, and whatever we don't sell per litter goes in the freezer. Found my hold on that one, 10 for 10. Forgot it shoots a little to the right. But, you know, the old SKS in the 90s, this was known as buy a crate of these things, buy a couple cases of ammo, put it up, that's your apocalypse arsenal. But ain't so much like that these days. I think everybody's getting cheap ARs, Palmetto State type ARs, stocking those pretty deep for that type of rifle. And that's not a bad choice, which these aren't either. These are just, they're about the same price as a PSA AR is these days. But a couple points on self-preservation. If you're going to stock food, stock something that has a long shelf life, calorie dense, or is alive. If you can raise animals, we raise chickens and stuff like that too. if they're alive, they're preserved. And they're going to be preserved for a long time if they're alive. But if you're just going to stock food deep, I know it's expensive to buy like the freeze-dried stuff, a lot of the survival type foods. That stuff is pretty expensive, and you got to look at the servings. So a lot of the servings count in them. They're counting the mixed drink too as a serving. So that's something you need to pay attention to when you're buying those kits, like the buckets and all of the survival kits and stuff. They'll have a mix in there for a drink, and granted, it's calories, it's just not food, and that's what they're counting as a serving as well. So pay attention to that. You're not going to have the food servings that you think you're going to a lot of times just by looking at the label. Oh, look at that. That's something you don't see very often. Anyways, back to what we was talking about. If you're going to stock canned goods, my advice, don't stock a bunch of green beans, corn, canned vegetables and stuff that are very low in calories. Get calorie dense stuff with a really long shelf life, like ravioli and stuff. You're not going to be health conscious if you're using this for end of the world survival food. You don't want to be eating healthy greens when you want to be, but ideally, space for calories, you want to stock stuff that is dense, calorie dense. Spam, I know it's cliche, stock your spam deep. Stock, like I said, ravioli, beef and noodles, soups, stuff like that that's super, super dense. That's what you want in your canned goods. When it comes to water, it's really hard to store enough water for yourself, your family, to last any length of time, especially potable water. So it makes more sense to, if you have a water source that's reliable, fairly close, to stock stuff that makes that water potable, like iodine tablets, ways to purify it, a still. You can use a still for that legally, just check your local laws. But ways to purify it, boil it, filter it, whatever, that's going to take up less space for storage. That's going to take up more. You're going to have more space for your food storage, stuff like that. So kind of be mindful of that type of stuff. I have 3 different ways to purify, boil, filter water at all times, stocked up pretty deeply. I also keep 2 100-gallon tanks outside that are rotated. Keep those tanks ready to go. I also have a swimming pool. Now, of course, the water in the swimming pool, there's 3,500 gallons, something like that in the swimming pool. You can't drink it, but you can use it for bathing and non-potable sources. And if it came right down to it, if you have a still, you can distill that water, get the chlorine out, and then you have potable water. So you got to kind of think outside the box and set yourself up for success if something bad were to happen. But you, in my opinion, you don't want your life to revolve around it. So if you can set yourself up to where you can live a life, you can have your sources of storage and whatever. But like the rabbits, it's something that you can enjoy every day as well. You can raise them, make some money selling them. You can eat them as you want. And the kids love them, stuff like that. But, you know, there's a lot of things that you don't really think about when it comes to survival. It's not all about guns and ammunition. It's not all about stocking canned goods. It's not all about stocking survival buckets of freeze-dried goods. That stuff's good to have, but that's not what it's all about. You want to be able to self-sustain, but you also want to be able to enjoy your life and enjoy some of the things that you're spending your money on. So it's just kind of where I'm at with it. I'm going to shoot a little bit more, see what that malfunction was all about. She is getting a little bit warm, but it is a beautiful day to just lay in the grass, talk to you guys, BS a little bit. send some lead downrange, get some chiggers all over me, and then go in and guess what we're having? You guessed it, rabbit. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put a little clip of that in the end here. Show you the rabbit we're having. We're on a diet at the moment, going to the beach here in a few weeks. Yeah, just a few weeks. So we've been dieting pretty hard, and rabbit is very lean. It's a very lean source of protein. So we're not frying this. We're gonna do like a, well, I'll just show you. No failures that time. I think I was pushing up on the mag pretty heavy last time. But yeah, after I get all the chiggers off of me, gonna make some good lean rabbit protein. Check it out. This is how the wife likes to label it. Bunny. This one was butchered July 14th. Also can't forget potatoes from the garden. So, talking about gardening, another excellent source of food that you can enjoy now. You can can it, put it up for self-sustaining, and it's way healthier than whatever you may purchase at the store. These are fresh from our garden, and we put up a lot of vegetables. I know I said earlier well, we're not going to eat that one. Not to store canned vegetables. I don't mean not storing the stuff that you grow. You're going to eat that throughout the year. That ain't going to be something you're putting up for long shelf life type items, even though they will last a while. It's typically something we eat often. You ever debone a rabbit? We freeze them whole. Deboning them makes it a little easier if you're not just frying the quarters on the back saddle. Just cut the meat off. I like to use a case pocket knife just because it's a little bit more slicey than kitchen knives. But it's really not hard to debone one. I'll show you what it looks like when we get done here. I'm going to start a cooking channel. That's what I ought to do. Cooking with the Gun Dungeon. Yeah. Deboned rabbit carcass. See the ribs, legs. This is the two hind quarters deboned. Front quarters deboned. Those are those delicious little inner loins. And then there's your back straps. A little bit of Lowry seasoned salt, some garlic, and some olive oil. That's olive oil for you uncultured swine. And there it is, with only the finest of China. Absolutely delicious. Y'all be sure to go over and subscribe to 5 Acre Homesteader. I'm going to have a link below. She has a lot of this kind of stuff over there.